So Ian, we're a few days into the adventure so far. Any memorable moments?
Yeah, I think just getting to know you, Pat. Just before you're a legend, and spending time with you's been really great. And you've got such a wonderful team with you as well. But for me, probably the highlight is understanding how our vehicles, the Ranger and Everest, are being used in their natural environment. They're so comfortable to drive, both on and off road, but they're very, very capable. In terms of kind of things we've seen and done, I think for me, going down onto the beach, this beautiful white sand, the clear blue waters and the cliffs behind us. I mean, it was completely deserted. We were the only people there. And to me, that was paradise. And topping that off and going for a quick swim at the end, to me was like the best day. So yeah, I really appreciate, you taking us on this journey. It's fantastic.
Oh mate, I appreciate you designing these cars. It is kind of interesting, isn't it, that you can, maul up a sand dune and climb some crazy rocks and then sit on 110 along the Nullarbor,
Exactly.
You just never really used to be able to do that in, say for example, an old Landy, a vehicle that you grew up, building,
Yep.
playing with and overlanding. So you've got quite a recreational overlanding background yourself.
Yeah, no, I love overlanding, and when people say to me you're off-road, I say no, not really. I'm a kind of person who loves that kind of feeling of freedom. It's like not knowing your next destination. It's taking on the adventure, going from A to B, meeting new people, trying different foods, really just experiencing the world and life. And to me, that's a big part of experiencing different cultures and meeting new people. But yeah, as you said, I spent my formative years working at Land Rover. Very fortuitously, I gave them a call and said, have any jobs going? And they said, come along, see if you like it, which I did. And that really sparked my kind of interest in 4x4ing. And in my 20s, I really got into the scene. I bought a Land Rover myself, one that I worked on myself, which was for me something I couldn't afford at the time. But in my 20s, I managed to get my Defender. And then I drove around the world, and I haven't looked back. So I just love that sort of experience and the feeling that you get and the people you meet along the way.
So you drove around the world. That's not a small thing, because that's a fairly rare thing for four-wheel drivers, especially in Australia, who are obviously it's slightly tougher for us to throw something on a boat and go elsewhere. But where did you go on that journey?
Well, the first one, I mean, it sounds really corny, but people like yourself who kind of go on TV and you show people, really how simple it is to go on an adventure. So I actually was an avid watcher of A Long Way Round when that came out. And at the time, I'd had a pretty serious knee injury, and my friend showed me that DVD, and I said, do you know what? It's not that hard really, is it, to go around the world? This whole kind of thought that it's it's dangerous and there's dangerous people out there or dangerous situations you find yourself in. I think I looked at it as an adventure and something if that you're well prepared and you've thought it through. That actually what could possibly go wrong? And I took that kind of thought process. I bought my Defender, I got myself prepared and set off on this grand adventure with my wife. So I've never looked back. That was really the start of probably the rest of my life, in terms of how I've approached life. It's taking the chance, it's going out there and experiencing new things. Sometimes they don't work out, but you don't know until you've tried. So I think it's kind of a metaphor for me for life, is overlanding and how I've approached my career as well.
Yeah, well said, well said. So we've got the new Ranger, the new Everest, which is also the same platform as the new Bronco, which a lot of Aussies may not know, which I find that amazing that such an iconic American vehicle has been largely designed by an Aussie design team. I think that's really cool. But do you think that background with overlanding and with Land Rover has kind of infiltrated some of the four-wheel drive ability of the new vehicles from Ford?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, ultimately the team in Australia that I work with, the 1,500 engineers that have been part of this journey of developing all those products, the Bronco and the Ranger and the Everest and the Amarok as well. They've got such great knowledge, of how customers use their vehicles, whether it's recreational off-roading, whether it's actually working as a vehicle that people use, like tradies use every day, or even now people use it more for just carrying the kids around, going to the shops. Pickups seem to be this like ubiquitous, can do anything kind of vehicle. So I think all of that kind of knowledge that my team have got in terms of how they use their vehicles, and we use this phrase in Ford of living the Ranger life, and then it sounds really corny, but I think actually most of our engineers do. But I do think as well, you know, my background of overlanding and my background of working with Land Rover, I think I kind of really understand, you know, off-roaders, and I understand what's important to them. So when we're making choices about what do we do, I think it's stood me in really good stead to kind of make, I think, the right choices for our customers to make sure they get the best out of the vehicle they're buying.
Mate, it is genuinely an impressive vehicle. On-road, off-road, the technology that's in this, it genuinely seems like Ford has thrown everything and the kitchen sink at the vehicle. Like, you sort of left nothing. You know, you've obviously pulled from the Ford parts bin, the technology bin, and just gone and really tried to nail it. And obviously it's worked because, you know, you've got massive weights on most of these vehicles. But just wrapping things up, there's a lot of brand new features on these vehicles. What are your top 3 favourite features in the next gen Everest Ranger Raptor?
Yeah, look, it's a question I get asked quite a lot, you know, and it's interesting that I often hark back to kind of the simple things rather than the technology. You know, things like having the rear step on the pickup. You know, that came from really listening to customers about how they use their trucks and what's important to them. You know, making sure that, you know, we had the right engine choices for our customers and giving them the space in the engine bay for things like a second battery. Now, they're kind of simple things that you do as part of the architectural development of the platform, but I think they're things that people really value. But I think, you know, some of the features that you talked about, you know, the kind of advanced driver assist technologies, the fact that we're offering this vehicle now, it's a 5-star NCAP vehicle, and we're really proud of that, and all those great safety features and all those great advanced driver assist features means that, you know, we're really trying to prevent customers finding themselves in a situation where they might have an accident. And if they do, then we've actually got the protection for them to make sure they don't hurt themselves. So for me, keeping people safe on their journey, whether that's, you know, doing some recreational overlanding, whether it's, you know, going off-road, whether it's going to work with your family, going to work or taking your kids to school, I think, you know, having a vehicle that's safe and that you can trust, I think is really, really important.
Yeah. I hope that Raptor looks after me tomorrow, mate, when I launch it off of June at Pilbanya.
What can I say? It's an absolute beast. I think you saw that today. It's so good at everything. It's super comfortable on road and it's so plush, but yeah, it's got the performance and ability off-road to really, you know, put that smile on your face. I mean, that's what it's all about, that visceral experience of owning a full performance product, a genuine full performance product. And, you know, no better credentials than, you know, last weekend we actually went and won the production class of the Baja 1000 in the US, you know, with a pretty stock Raptor. We just basically put a roll cage in, a fuel cell, slightly bigger wheels and tyres, and it just went and did the whole 1000, you know, and it did a really good job, and we're super proud of the team.
With an Aussie driver.
With an Aussie driver as well. So yeah, it's been a great journey, and I can't thank the team enough for the work they've done on the Raptor. They've really kind of captured the essence, to me, of what is an exciting off-road product, you know, and actually turned it into something that people can actually affordably own and drive every day.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. Well, thanks for your time, Ian, and look forward to the rest of our adventure.
Awesome, can't wait. Looking forward to those sand dunes tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Pat.